It happened 2 years ago, on Christmas Eve. I was driving home from my night shift at the hospital, exhausted, snow tapping on the windshield like impatient fingers. I lived 30 minutes away in a quiet mountain town, where the roads get dangerously empty after dark. Around 2 a.m., I turned onto Pine Ridge Road, a long, winding forest path completely swallowed by snow. I remember yawning, rubbing my eyes, and then seeing her. A little girl standing alone on the side of the road. Red winter coat, no hat, no gloves, snow piling on her shoulders. I slammed the brakes so hard my seatbelt punched into my chest. I rolled down the window, heart hammering. "Are you okay? Where are your parents?" She looked up slowly. Her cheeks were blue from cold. Her eyes were wrong, too wide, too motionless. Then she whispered, "Please, don't leave me alone again." My stomach dropped. Again? I jumped out, opened the back door, and helped her inside. She didn't resist, she didn't speak, just stared straight ahead. As I got back in the driver's seat, I saw something in the rearview mirror. Her breath, it didn't fog the window. Mine did, hers didn't. I told myself it was just shock, hypothermia, something explainable. I turned the heat up full blast. "Where do you live?" I asked. She slowly lifted a shaking hand and pointed down the road. So I began driving. Her voice finally broke the silence. "You're not supposed to be here tonight." "What do you mean?" Silence. Then she mumbled something like she was quoting someone. "He waits in the trees for the ones who stop." I felt every hair on my arms rise. Who waits in the trees? She didn't answer. Instead, she suddenly sat up straight and shouted, "Turn here!" I swerved into a narrow driveway leading to a dark cabin half buried in snow. No lights, no signs of life. I put the car in park. She unbuckled herself, opened the door, and stepped outside like she knew exactly where she was. I followed. The cabin door was slightly open. Wind moaned through the gap like someone crying. The girl walked in without hesitation. "Wait, don't go alone," I called. Inside was pitch black. I pulled out my phone for light. The place was freezing. Frost crawled across the windows like veins. There were family photos on the walls, dusty, old, untouched for years. And then I saw her, the same girl in one of the photos, smiling, alive, normal. The date below it read December 24th, 1997, 25 years ago. Footsteps creaked behind me. I turned. The girl was standing inches from my face, her eyes now hollow. She whispered, "You brought him with you." A loud thud hit the outside wall, then another, something heavy dragging along the siding. I killed my phone flashlight. My breath echoed in the silence, but hers, still nothing. She pointed toward the window. I reluctantly looked. Something tall stood outside, a silhouette, impossibly long arms, head tilted at an unnatural angle, just standing there, watching the cabin. The girl grabbed my wrist with ice-cold fingers. "He follows cars on this road," she whispered. "He looks for people who stop." My heart slammed in my chest. "What does he want?" Her face twisted in pain. "New ones." I backed away, grabbed my phone, and dialed 911. No service. The thuds grew louder, faster, scratching across the wooden boards. He was circling us. I whispered, "What happened to you?" She lowered her head. "My parents' car broke down here. They left to find help, and he found me first. He keeps the ones who freeze." She looked up. "I've been waiting for someone brave enough to follow me home." My blood froze. "You wanted me to come here?" She nodded. "So I could warn you." Then she pointed at the front door, her face suddenly terrified. He's coming in, right now. Run! I didn't wait. I sprinted out the back door, snow blinding my eyes. My car was parked at the edge of the trees. Behind me, a wet, rattling inhale. Not human. I didn't dare look. I threw myself into the driver's seat, turned the key. The engine whined. "Come on!" I screamed. He stepped out of the tree line, tall, thin, face pale and stretched like wet paper. My engine roared to life. I slammed the gas and sped down the driveway, but in the mirror, the girl was standing at the cabin door, smiling softly. She mouthed, "Thank you." And then she was gone, like she had never been there at all. I reported everything to the police. They searched the cabin. They found the remains of a family frozen inside, parents and one child, identified as missing since 1997. But officers said something that made my blood run cold. No footsteps in the snow except yours. No child's footprints, no man's, no one else at all. I still drive that road sometimes, not on purpose, life just leads me there. And every Christmas Eve, I see tiny red flakes of fabric in the snow, a torn piece of a coat. They weren't there the day before. They're never there the day after. Just the night he waits in the trees for the ones who stop. Every Christmas, I go down a rabbit hole of old police cold cases. Strange disappearances, unsolved scenes, things people forgot. Last year, I found one that changed everything. The title of the folder was Snowman Incident, December 24, 1998. There were only a few photos, some transcripts, and one handwritten note at the bottom. Nobody must know it wasn't a person. But there was no body in the photos, no blood, no sign of struggle, just a snowman standing alone in the middle of the family's yard. Not a cute one either. Its stick arms were too long, bent unnaturally, and its smile was carved far too wide. Its eyes weren't pieces of coal, they were hollow. Two burned-out holes staring into nothing. The next photo made my skin tighten. Footprints, a full set, mother, father, daughter, leading from the house toward the snowman, but none returning, like the family walked up to it and simply stopped existing. There was a transcript attached. The only surviving witness was their 10-year-old son. Most of it was redacted except for one chilling line. The snowman had something moving inside it. That was the moment I made the worst decision of my life. The house from the case no longer existed, but the location matched an abandoned hunting cabin deep in the woods. So I did something stupid. I decided to spend Christmas Eve alone in that cabin, just to see if the story was real, or at least understand it. The first night was quiet, too quiet. No wind, no animals, just the sound of snow settling. But the second night, everything changed. It happened around 3 a.m., a soft, rhythmic crunch in the snow outside. I peeked through the curtain and froze. Something stood outside, perfectly still. A shape. A snowman. Not built by me, not there the night before. 3 snowballs stacked on top of each other, but its head was smooth, blank, no eyes, no mouth. Yet I felt it watching me. The air inside the cabin got heavier. My breath fogged the window. I backed away and locked the door. Then came the sound that still haunts me, a slow, dragging step. Then another and another. Something outside was walking toward the cabin. Snow doesn't walk, snow doesn't breathe, but whatever stood outside did. It leaned against the door, and I heard it, a wet, muffled, choking breath, like someone drowning in snow. I don't remember how long I sat there, paralyzed. When I finally looked again, the snowman was gone. But around the cabin, in a perfect circle, were tracks. Pacing, watching, exactly like the old crime scene photos. That was my breaking point. I grabbed my bag, ripped open the door, and froze mid-step. Someone had left the snowman's head on my doorstep. Smooth, hollow, like an empty skull made of snow. I ran through the forest, through the darkness, and then I heard it. Not behind me, around me, moving between the trees. A soft, unnatural crunch, 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 lighter than human steps, but deliberate. I turned, and I saw it. The snowman was walking, not rolling, not sliding, walking. Its long, stick arms dragged against the ground. Its chest bulged like something inside was trying to press through the snow. Something living. I ran until my lungs burned. Eventually, hunters found me on the roadside, half frozen, incoherent. Police searched the cabin the next day. They found nothing. No tracks, no snowman, just a few broken branches and a single lump of coal. I tried to convince myself I imagined everything. Until this year. 2 days ago, I took the trash out behind my house, and there it stood, perfectly still, perfectly quiet, a snowman. The same shape, the same blank face, the same burned-out holes for eyes, and beneath it, a trail of small footprints in the snow. Not human, not animal. Footprints of something that lives inside the snow. It was Christmas Eve, and the snow fell like powdered glass across the silent town. The streets were empty, the lights on the houses flickering in the bitter wind. I hadn't planned to visit the old post office, not tonight, but something inside me pushed me there. I stepped inside. Dust hung in the corners, motes floating in the weak light. The scent of aged paper and something else, something coppery, filled the air. On the counter, there was a single envelope, no return address, no stamp, just my name, written in a shaky, unfamiliar hand. Do not open until midnight. I swallowed hard. My heart thumped. And, of course, curiosity won. I tore it open. Inside, a short letter. I've been watching your family. They are not safe. Meet me at the church by the old cemetery. Midnight. I dropped the letter. A chill ran down my spine. The church, the cemetery, at midnight. I should have laughed, told myself it was a joke, but something told me this was serious. The snow was deeper now. My breath formed clouds in the cold air. The roads twisted like frozen ribbons through the forest. I drove, mind racing, eyes darting to every shadow. Halfway there, my phone buzzed. No notifications, no calls, just a single text. You're being watched. Don't stop. I slammed the accelerator. Branches scraped against the car. The headlights cut through the white, but I felt eyes. I tried to convince myself it was paranoia, but then I saw them. Tiny footprints in the snow leading from the trees to the road. Too small to be human, and yet perfectly spaced. Deliberate. They know you're coming. I shivered. Every instinct screamed to turn back. I didn't. The church loomed like a shadow, black and silent. Its windows were frosted, the doors slightly ajar. I stepped inside. The pews were empty. The air smelled of damp wood and burning candles, though no flames burned. At the altar, a single figure knelt, tall, cloaked, head bowed. I froze. Then it looked up. No face, just a smooth, pale void. It raised one hand, slowly. A box appeared on the floor before me, wrapped in brown paper, tied with a red ribbon. A note atop it. open it, or they die. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to touch it. But I didn't know who they were. Family? Friends? The strangers from the letter? I untied the ribbon. The paper fell away. Inside, a collection of miniature dolls. Each one looked exactly like a member of my family. Faces painted in exquisite, horrifying detail. Eyes open, staring. One wrong move, one moment too late, they'll join you. A sudden gust of wind slammed the church doors shut. The candles ignited. Flickering shadows danced along the walls. The cloaked figure was gone. Then a whisper from every corner. "You can't leave. Not until the game is done." The dolls, they began to move. Tiny, jerky motions crawling across the floor. Each step, each turn mirrored a real movement from earlier that day. I stumbled backward, heart hammering. I backed into the pews. A door slammed, another opened. I realized the church was changing. Corridors stretching impossibly, doors leading nowhere, walls shifting. A small voice, childlike, from the doll nearest me. "It's time to play." I ran, trying to escape the shifting church. Every step echoed unnaturally. The dolls followed, always in my peripheral vision. Each seemed to mimic a family member's movement, their expressions twisted in silent screams. A voice boomed, though no lips moved. "Pick one. Choose wisely." I spun around. 3 doors appeared. Behind each, a glowing silhouette, waiting. My mind raced. I had to make a choice. I opened the first door. Inside, nothing. Just snow falling in slow motion. Relief? No, because the voice whispered, "Try again." Second door. Inside, the dolls now standing in a circle, chanting. I slammed it shut. Third door. I stepped through. I emerged. Not outside, not anywhere I recognized. The room was warm, bright, decorated for Christmas. And there, seated at the table, my family, laughing. I ran to them, hugged them. Relief flooded me. Then I noticed. Their faces. Wrong. The eyes too glossy, the smiles too still. I looked down at my hands. They've been replaced. The dolls? Gone. But a note burned into the table. "Merry Christmas. See you next year." The church doors slammed behind me. I turned to run. The hall stretched endlessly, and in the distance, the faint sound of tiny footsteps and laughter.